we could do that. A factory's 50,000 square feet. It's in West Palm Beach. Everything is made in the United States. Our metal comes from Texas. Our gaskets are half-inch gaskets. They're commercial-grade gaskets. This stuff lasts. It's 304 stainless steel and aluminum. It's thick aluminum that can handle if a tree hits it or anything else hits it, bumps into it during a storm that's in the water. It's not going to break it. It's not going to bend it. It's going to last. When it comes to our process, we'll come out, we'll measure, obviously, make precision measurements, so everything is custom fabricated. The way our panels do look, I have my phone on me, I'll just show you guys real quick. I didn't have my laptop with me today, but I'll show you how they actually go onto the house. It gives you a better visual. I'll just pass this around real quick. I'll show you a garage setup. This is a garage, and you can see the panels that go through. Everything seals up, everything's nice and tight. This is about 4 feet, 3.5 feet. You can see. Gaskets seal against each other up top. Everything's tight. If we need supports, yeah. Sure. I'll send you guys, if anybody wants to see these pictures as well, you can go on floodgatepro.com, or if you give me your information, I'll give you specific house jobs, residential jobs that we've done. We'll take pictures. I'll send you everything you need. All the information I'll send you direct in a text message. I'll get your measurements. I'll get you guys to fill out a form. I will get back to you tomorrow personally, one-on-one. I'll talk to every one of you guys. So, picture of a garage. Seals up nice and tight. Now the height. We can make up to 9 feet. For commercial properties, we can do up to 12 feet, but we're not going to need 12 feet, as we know. Support of the system as well. Strength, water pressure is very important when it comes to actually sealing the water out of your house as it goes higher. And you got to make sure you have a sturdy support system to make sure the water doesn't break the barrier or break the seals, and that pressure is holding. So these go directly against your block. So your block is obviously a support system as well. But as you get higher, obviously you need more support. We do different support systems. So we could do a system that comes out, that protrudes. If you're doing a garage, a 16-foot span, and you're going 5 feet high, you're going to need a support system to some capacity to hold that water pressure. We have one that comes out as well, but we also have, we designed another one that goes straight down to the ground. So a lot of times, if you don't want those concrete pillars on the outside of the driveway, right in the middle, we have a system that you can take them and bring them straight down the panel so you don't have to protrude out and have the same support system. We do it on a lot of commercial jobs, and now residential wants it as well because it doesn't actually come out too far. If you do want the support systems to come out, if it's a real long span, we actually will take that paver out, we'll dig down, we'll put the concrete underneath so you can remove the paver when needed and put it back so it looks the same as well. So everything that we do is custom. Everything we do is in-house. So we fabricate CAD drawers, installers. These guys are professionals, they do it right. Everything's stainless steel, everything lasts. And everything seals up. So when it comes to certain things that a lot of people come up to me and they say, I don't know if I can do that. It's a tough thing to do. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to get this angle. We can make the angle, we can make the support, and we can make it fit where it's real nice and snug. That's what really separates us from everybody, is the fact that we can customize anything. So if you think you can't do it, try me. We could probably do it. So do I have any questions so far?
Yeah, when the system's not up, what's left on the wall? Just the lag bolts?
They're actually not in the lag bolts. So the lag bolts we'll use when we put it on the panel, because obviously they have a head on them. But what's replaced is a flat stainless steel, like Phillips head, like a hurricane shutter. That's all that's left on the house. Once they come down, they're done. You don't see it. If you want to powder coat those two, obviously we can powder coat the panels. We don't powder coat a lot of panels. You know, most people obviously don't spend the money to powder coat them. They'll come in like this, stainless steel and aluminum. But if you want to, and you get those bolts and you want to powder coat them, you can. You can paint them over with your paint as well, and you're not even going to see it. The homeowner installs the panels, so and that's where the custom size, if you want it to be smaller, can happen. Or our installer, when he's installing them, you know, he'll talk to you about installing them. We don't offer it directly, but he does it. You know, he'll definitely say, hey, you know, when the season comes, you know, I'll work with you guys. And he does do a lot of our customers. Any other questions on the panels? Any other questions on the install? It depends on the openings, and it depends, obviously, if you do need... Okay, so with sliders. So because our panels can be floated even on sliders, sometimes you have pavers that need concrete. On our system, sometimes you're going to limit even doing the concrete. Sometimes people have drains, grates, things like that. We do a lot of high-end too, where they have like custom grates and things like that. If you give me about 3.5 to 4 inches underneath that slider of any kind of concrete or anything on the house, I can make a flange where we could put it directly against the house, opposed to doing a whole concrete and put it on the floor. Because a lot of our stuff can float, depending on how much space I have underneath that door, I don't have to do a lot of concrete work, where if it was on the floor, I definitely would. So if you have a lot of sliders and you give me some space there, I can make it work. Because our gaskets are 2 inches thick, wide. They're 1/2 inch thick. So if you give me 2 inches wide and a little extra where I can set up the flange, you're golden. How wide can I go on a span? As long as I want. I have all I would do is if I add a certain amount of feet, I have to have a certain amount of supports. Just like everything else. No, I do 60 foot, 22 feet, 23 feet, 25 feet. Yeah. The thing is, we're going to go past the opening too, because it's going on your house. So we're going to use your house as a support as well. So we're going to go past the house about 3.5, 4 inches on each side. So that's going to actually add support as well. So we're not going to go on the inside. Now, with a garage, sometimes people don't want to do the concrete. As long as they have, if the concrete door is here, let's say the concrete door ends here, and I have about 8 inches of concrete, I can make a custom flange. If it's concrete on each side and I have enough space, I can make a custom flange where now you don't have to put any more concrete in front of it. I can make an angle on that side with a gasket, and I can attach the panel to the gasket and then put a straight shot angle to the house itself. So you could actually stay inside the space without doing the concrete if I have enough space there too. The concrete's already there. If you had a system where it was on the sides, you wouldn't be able. You'd have to put the concrete still in the front. So there's a lot of different options, a lot of different ways. We just had I just actually left their house. I had to leave there, so I didn't get to see everything. But we just stopped, we measured, and they wanted to do the outside lanai. They're adding a deck. We normally go on the outside, but we have the option, obviously, to go on the inside as well, if anything, the same way we would on the outside. So we're switching it to the outside. So it's just whatever you guys want. We want to make sure that it works, obviously, first, because we know the cost of when water gets in. The seals are right. Our installers have been doing it for so long, these guys are unbelievable. But they make sure that it's also accommodating to the different angles and things that you want. A lot of times you even have we've even started running into some windows that have their sills that stick out to like really far. So we'll add metal to the panel to go past the sill. This way we seal up against it. Or we can even sit it on top of it. But it's not going to go from, if this is the top of the windowsill, you're not going to have metal down from the ground to 5 feet. If you, let's say you have 5 feet and you got a 3 foot high window, you're only going to actually need, instead of 5 feet paying for material, you're only going to be paying for 2. Because that's all you need for the window, obviously. We also do custom covers. Because we customize anything. You have outlets around the house, you have dryer vents around the house, you have holes in the stucco, things like that. If you need a cover for it, we can do it. We can fabricate any cover for any opening. To keep in mind. My recommendation is always the same. How much water was outside your house and how much do you want to protect? That's totally customizable to the homeowner and what they want to protect. You know, I just suggest obviously that you go at least the height that was outside the house. I would go a little bit higher, just because obviously the storms seem to be getting worse and worse, and nobody wants to deal with that again. The other thing I'm happy you mentioned that is, if you get, say, 5 feet, 4 feet, 3 feet, 6 inches, because we can customize anything you want, we can add to the system in the future. Because it's customizable, let's say the next storm comes and you guys just make it. One of our commercial customers is a Scientology Center. They just made their custom, they went up another 2 feet. This year, all we did was we added the extra panels because we could obviously go higher. It's just a matter of, if you need it, we can do it, we can fabricate it. Anybody a welder here? There's a guy who's a welder here, I don't know if he's still here. But like he said, you can make anything when you can weld. And the metal comes from Texas, everything's in-house, and it's high grade stuff. This is commercial grade stuff on your house. 16 feet high? Oh, 16 feet wide. 2 feet high? 2 feet, around 5 or 2 feet. You're going 16 feet wide width? I'd have to do calculations on that. And also, I got to see if there's any concrete work that's needed. Because when we give you an install too and a price, when we give you a quote, we don't give you a quote just for the panel. I'm giving you a quote for the panel and the install. So when you say, what is it going to take to do this door or that door, every house is a little bit different. Because the labor involved for the install sometimes is a little bit different. Overall, it's usually around the same, depending on if it needs concrete work or not. You know. But as for the panels themselves, 21 years. I mean, the time lapse speaks for itself, and we really take pride in making sure that we do everything right. If anything goes wrong, I personally know the owner. He wanted to be here today, but he's been measuring all day on jobs that we have, and he wants to make sure that he gets them right while he's out in the field and in the area. So he was doing them while we had a couple jobs up in Alabama they had to do, so the installers are up there. They do silos in Alaska and everything else, so they're a busy company. But they do it right, for sure. Good question. Sometimes pavers are under concrete. If the concrete is underneath the pavers, no, we can take them out. We obviously can put if you need supports, we can put the supports right on that, put the paver back on, so you don't even see it when it's not there. If we do need to do concrete work, well, we might need to take a row up with pavers. But like I said, a lot of times, if you have a slider that has enough space, it gives me a gap, and it's about that much, that's all I need, about 4 inches. I can actually make a flange, you don't have to do any concrete work. So there's plenty of houses that we go to that you see the drain grate there, and but we look at the house and we say, this is great, you don't need any concrete, because I was just at a house there, we were measuring today. Same thing. Yeah, I had 4 sliders in the back, I was like, uh-oh. But then you see that gap, and when you see that gap, it's like seeing gold, right? Because you're not doing the concrete work in that situation. You're going to bolt directly up to the house, which is good because it gives you the support as well. Obviously, the reason why you need the concrete on the bottom is to make a smooth surface, so it seals right and also keeps that support and support.
I'm sorry, I may have missed it, and I know I came in late, but your slabs that you put in are how, each one?
So, again...
How tall? No. I mean, just one slab. How tall?
How tall do you want?
Well, my problem is I'm worried about
the weight.
The weight.
No.
Yeah.
So we keep them usually around 25 to 35 pounds in that range. I can make them whatever weight you want because I can take metal off them, right? So because we're customized, if you get intimidated by a size of a length and you want them to be smaller, I just make them shorter. Because I can cut them to any height you want. So if you want to go 3 feet, and you want on that 3 feet, if you want 4 panels, I can do 4 panels. If you want 1 panel, I can do 1 panel. And it really depends on the person. So When I send you, what we do is we actually will send you a drawing with our measurements. After you go and you sign the deposit, we don't take the full amount obviously up front. We take 40%, we send you drawings, you approve them, take the next 40%, and then you don't pay the 20% until the install is done. So it's helps out a little bit, best we can do. But it is something when I send you the drawings, if you don't like them and you say that's too big, that's too heavy, just adjust it. They'll stay the same dimensions, but it'll be easy to install if you want it. Good question. How do I cover everything else? Any other questions? Any other concerns? I have sheets up here. You guys can fill out if you do want information. I will personally look these over as soon as tomorrow. I will call you, send you email, send you text message and an email. I'll also send you our residential jobs that we do have. So this way you can really see it. I know I just passed around a quick picture, but this way you'll see the windows. You see how they float on the windows. You'll see the sliders. You'll see the doors. You'll see everything on residential properties as well. If you go to our website, you'll see it as well. But I have more residential pictures in my phone that I'll send you all direct. I'll also give you the information on our website and things like that. And I'll get you the quote as soon as tomorrow if you really want to. All I need from you guys, if I'm not there to measure, but you still want to get the quote to get the ballpark idea, because obviously people are asking about price, is you can give me all the measurements of all the widths, and when it comes to the windows, because we don't want to charge you for extra metal, I just need the measurement from the floor to the top of the windowsill, so I can deduct that off of the square footage. And then I'll give you the quote. I'll give it to you as soon as tomorrow. I will also personally talk with everybody so I can explain everything in a little bit more detail and how we can get out there. My name is Dominic, so you guys will hear directly from me. I'm head of residential sales. Eric is the owner. If we get into it where you guys do want to go to contract and do a deposit, you will always speak directly to the owner before. So I won't sell to anybody unless they speak directly to the owner after I see the pictures and we go over the whole job over the phone. I won't do it. Make sure that it's done right. So, you guys are going to have cards up here, but if you fill out one of my forms, these are the forms to fill out, I'll personally call you tomorrow. Any other questions?
Okay, thank you, Dominic. Also, can you share, because there's a lot of people watching and that are going to continue watching in the next couple days, can you share your phone number and website information for those people that are just watching online who couldn't be here, please?
Sure. My telephone number is 561-222-7247. My email address is info@floodgatepro.com. You can email me or send me a text message, or you can call me direct. I'll give you all the information as well. I'll send you as many pictures as I can, and I'll tell you how to measure as well. I'll get you a quote back the same day if you like, and then a phone call to discuss a little further detail.
Okay, thank you very much. We have thank you so much, Dominic, I appreciate you. We have about 3 minutes left until Mike comes up, and he's going to talk to us from Lipton Window and Door here in Newport Richey, about 3 minutes before he speaks. And I just want to let you know, Kim taped some, Judy's got this going on Facebook Live, Gulf Harbor Strong's got this on Facebook Live. So even though people aren't seeing a big crowd, last time we did this, the next morning there was 1,000 hits, and within the next couple days there was 3,000 hits on each one of these presenters' sites. So, and I talked with each of the companies afterwards, and all of them were very happy about speaking here. So that made me happy that they didn't waste their time coming here, even though there wasn't a lot of people present. They were watching it online. So while we're waiting for Mike to come up here just for the next 2 minutes, there was 2 more boards up here that I was going to talk to. Don't forget to take pictures. What would you do differently and why? And on this board, we have a lot of great contractors in this neighborhood and outside of the neighborhood who came and helped us, but one of the things that really irritated me that I kept hearing from people I was talking to is they had some removal companies that came in that took their toilets, their tubs, their showers, their nozzles, their doorknobs, windowsills from their homes. What they did with them, I don't know, but then you or your insurance had to pay to get brand new, and you probably still could have used your old stuff. Also, blinds, window treatments and stuff, I think we were all in the mode of get it out, get it out, get it out, and we threw everything out from all them piles that we saw in front of our houses. and you probably didn't need to throw all of that out. So things you would do differently is on this board. And let's see, Jeff Starkey had touched earlier on taking pictures and videos of the things in your home, of everything, literally opening up drawers. I don't know how many of you ladies lost jewelry and facial creams that cost $80 and perfumes, but literally everything in your drawers. And one thing that all of the insurance companies were asking me, what's the serial number on your computer? What's the serial number on your washer, on your refrigerator? Like, I don't know what my serial numbers were. So that's another thing that you want to take pictures and videos of those types of things. This last board right here is what are some products that you used afterwards and why. And so I have on here CRC Evapor Rust. My husband soaked a lot of his tools in that and it worked well. My neighbors used Barkeeper's Friend with white vinegar and it worked for them. Concrodium mold control, we were all spraying around after the vinegar and all that stuff. So, I mean, there's different products. So please, if you've used something that worked for you or you want to add anything to these lists, we're going to post this on Facebook so that people can look at it. So please come up and write on here and take pictures of what's up here as well. All right, so we have Lipton Window and Door coming up next. Mike? Thank you.
Hello, my name is Mike Young. I work for Lipton Window and Door. I can't do anything about your flooding in your homes, but what I can do is I can provide hurricane-proof windows where it'll keep anything from flying into your house and killing you. So obviously that's a good thing. I've been in the business for a long time, and I was working for a company that, there was some unscrupulous behavior going on, and I have to sleep at night also. So you can do work or in business with a lot of people, but we all know it depends on who you're going to do business with. So when I looked for a place to work, I did the same thing you would do. I did my research, Better Business Bureau, reviews, and so forth. And I found Lipton through word of mouth, and I also looked online. You can't have an A+ rating on Better Business Bureau without taking care of your customers. So I said to myself, that's the kind of place I want to work. So I'm here about it, just going on 2 years now, and it's, Tim Lipton is the owner of the company. He started in 2010, and that's why the company has run so well, because Tim is an installer by trade. He installed Propeller back in the day and a couple other organizations. Well, he saw they weren't doing, exactly a great job, so he thought he'd just do it himself. So basically, we're an installation company that offers windows, not a window company that offers installation. Big difference. You could buy the best product in the world if it's not installed correctly. What's it really worth? We have a lot of our work. I would say about 85% of our work is by referral, and that's because we take care of our customers. Now, right now we are offering a custom window system window. It's a Florida-based company made for Florida. Everybody's so worried about the vinyl window standing up to the heat or to the weather down here. Well, you're talking about a company that's made down here for down here. So when you run into a situation where you want to keep the heat out of the house. I come from the north, we want to keep the heat in the house. Well, it works both ways. So when you're talking about a vinyl window, you have to look at the quality of the window. Now, the CWS is made with all virgin vinyl, no recycled materials. It's guaranteed against pit powdering, cracking, or fading. It's all fusion welded, so it's not mechanically connected, nothing to loosen up in the future. One thing about us is when it comes to the install, we give a lifetime warranty on the installation. So it doesn't matter if it's 10 years afterwards or 15 years afterwards you run into a problem, we come and we take care of it for you. The biggest feature on this window is the glass. The glass is made in Cardinal. Cardinal glass, any decent window that has this glass in it comes from Cardinal. They've been around for 100 years, and they've made for most of the bigger brands. Now, when you look at the glass here, it has a couple of byproducts, and one of the byproducts is it makes your house really quiet. So that it's not meant to be, it's a sound deadening window. So if you're watching the game and somebody's interrupted by the sound. Now, the window itself is very good. It keeps about 95% of the heat from transferring through the glass. Now, if you have one thing strange about Florida is for some reason, even in the big houses, they'll put in aluminum single pane windows. I don't know why. It's not doing anything for you. It's letting about 89% of the heat transfer right through the glass. Well, when you put in a double pane window, sealed sash, argon filled, argon gas is not flammable, it's not poisonous. All it is a denser gas than air. So it doesn't let the air molecules transfer through, so it's an insulative factor. Now, on the inside pane of the inside surface of the pane of glass that you can't touch, that's coated with what they call a low-E coating. We use a low-E coating, 366, it's the best, so that's what's used. What this does is it reflects the heat back out of the house without letting it transfer through there. I guess if you were to keep on putting coatings and coatings in the low-E, it would turn into something, a mirror-like substance. So basically, the frame itself is made out of dead air chambers to keep any heat from coming through, and then you have the fabulous glass. So now you're talking about 95% of the heat being blocked, and about 98% of the UV rays being blocked. So this way your curtains don't fade, your rugs don't fade, and that you get through just regular glass. Now, we did have one complaint from a customer, and she said that Jimmy was not happy with the windows. And we said, well, who's Jimmy? And she said, well, that's my pet iguana. Well, the iguana can see the sun through the glass, but can't feel the UV rays. So it kind of flipped him out a little bit. So believe it or not, we actually replaced that one piece of glass for Jimmy, and we put single pane glass in there for the UV rays to come through. Now, we also offer sliding glass doors and a variation of styles of windows. I know there's a lot of arch top windows, a lot of eyebrow windows in the area. Also, we offer entryway doors. We use the Plus Pro product. It's through BHI, and the reason we use that is because it's all composite, and as you know, after your house floods, you have to obviously change all the jambs in your doors because they're damaged from the water. So there's nothing that could swell up and rot on you, so we can stand behind it 100%. So that's why they have a great warranty. We offer that product. We have a lifetime warranty on the installation. So you're pretty much covered no matter what happens. You don't get caught in between the manufacturer and the installations blaming for the problem. So there's one call you make if you have a problem, and we take care of it. Now also, if you already have good windows, but they're not hurricane rated, we all know we're in a windborne debris area here. This is what's called AstroGuard. It's a fabric that goes over your windows. It gets installed into the block, and then it's just the pins stay in, but the fabric comes out. You fold it up, put it in your garage, and then whenever the storm comes, you take it out and put it up, and you just wing nut it on there. A lot of people think you have to wing nut it very tight. All you're doing is tightening it up by hand. I don't know what else I wanted to cover while I was up here. I think that's pretty much it. It's pretty basic. What we do is we come out to your house. We'll go ahead, we'll measure everything up. We'll give you a free in-home estimate. Very low pressure sales. Let's face it, you're not going to sit with somebody that you just met and make a decision to spend $15,000 to $20,000. So I would also recommend that, actually. So that's pretty much all I had today. They kind of sprung this on me late, but is there any questions at all? Or pretty much covers it. All right, great. I have some samples over there. Feel free to look at it, ask me any questions, and thank you for having us out.
Thank you very much. And also, could you share Lipton's phone number or email address for the people watching?
Sure. The main number is 727-372-2455. And if you tell them that you were here at the Gulf Harbors thing, then I will be the one to come out and see you. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And we are going to have the next presenter, Flowstop, Troy from Flowstop. He's going to be at 7:40. We're still trying to stay on time. So we have a couple minutes. Don't forget that Down Home D's is still outside selling food, so help yourself. And with Flowstop.
All right, everybody. Those that are left. Hello. So the product, of course, this is a flood barrier protection. It's pretty simple to use. My background, I'm actually a contractor. Since I was about 23 years old. I'm older than that now. But been in the business a long time, and here in Florida, moved down here about 8 years ago. While I'm at 50 feet, a lot of my friends aren't. And so I've seen the damage that can happen with these floods, and it's crazy. I feel bad for them all the time. So my life has been pretty good. Not avoiding the flood and all that fun stuff, but helping out friends now. But been in the business a long time, and here in Florida, moved down here about 8 years ago. While I'm at 50 feet, a lot of my friends aren't. And so I've seen the damage that can happen with these floods, and it's crazy. I feel bad for them all the time. So my life has been pretty good. Not avoiding the flood and all that fun stuff, but helping out friends. Now, I met these guys. So one of my clients actually got this product, and it's an amazing product. I'm a big paddleboard fan. I love how this thing operates. But what sold me on it was how easy it is to store, take care of. It's lightweight, and it's quick. So there's not a lot of extra prep you got to do. You just basically pull these things up, shove them in the door, which I'll show you in a minute, and pump it up, and away we go. So you can see on a lot of as you watch the applications of this stuff, it started in France, and it's been going, they've done all kinds of things over in Europe right before it came here. And so the product's been tested in a lot of different applications. So the hurricane is just why not? I mean, what's the next thing? Sure, let's throw it in there. Because it's gonna, the idea of how easy this is, how strong it is, and the difference in applications. From what I was doing in just the contracting world, when I found this product, when the client introduced me to it, I had to meet Richard, and so he's the guy that I'm staying at the airport today. And then I just been fascinated by how this thing works. The ease for which it actually solves the problem. And I don't want my friends to flood again. I like rebuilding their house, but I prefer not. I like just hanging out. I don't need to be doing water. So I'm good. So let me give you a quick view of what this thing is live to kind of fill this one up. This would be your standard front door, garage door, side door situation where typically this frame would represent, the block wall situation that you normally have, and it depends on the depth and the width, but this would be, I think it's 4 inch, 4 inch out, thick flow stop, and it is actually, this one I think is 36 inches, roughly 36 inches tall. But we can make them, you can kind of see what this video shows, you can make them like whatever, but mind you, 42 to 48 is where we static water, like what we call it static water, right, the level. If you have a wave, right, that would go over that, that's where you want the little taller. If you're in a situation where you have waves coming by or something, you want a little taller. That just keeps it from the waves from coming over the area. So, give me 1 second, I'll blow this thing up, I'll show you how fast this thing works. Basically, you sit in place. Pretty simple, really. And normally you push it down a little further because what happens, what's going to happen is I'm going to fill this chamber first. There's a double chamber in this particular situation. And the double chamber allows for this chamber to be filled. This presses right and left, right, and secures this part of the barrier, right? And then the next fill I'll do is the bottom one, and that actually finishes pressing. Now that this is secure, this one will finish pressing everything down and basically seal off the bottom, right? So you have a complete seal wherever you see this black gasket. that's where the seal is going to occur. Okay? Just give you an idea. So the idea is, normally this is only 5 pounds. What you do, they want you to do is take it up to 15. Right? 15 pounds of pressure basically makes it, seals completely, press and seal at the side. Even at 5, I mean, you're not going to lose it. So it's like one of those things that seals combined with the pressure, combined with the strength of the stop itself. Just anyway, sorry. So it's one of those things where having that go that fast. I mean, that's it. Now you go to 15. The quickness is it's longer to actually get from 0 to like 8 than it is from 8 to 15. It starts going a lot faster, right? And so, in what, 5 minutes or so, I think, Alex, is the average, or less, to fill one of these things up, okay? Think about the openings of your house. Think about how quick and how much time you spent putting a sandbag or doing this or doing that. Or we can run on. And you saw how quickly this thing goes together, the seal that occurs. And then when you want to take it and you're done, even faster. So literally, you just take it out in the store. And it weighs like, if any of you have paddleboards, so it's a real life product. Another thing that we've been working with, how much time have I got? Alex, you watching the time? You're supposed to be watching the time. Did you do it? What are you doing? If you look at some of the testing they do, of course, it's pretty fascinating, really, to see how strong this is. But if you understand paddleboarding, it's the same kind of thing that got me into it. But the other thing we started doing is for down here in Florida versus in Europe and some of the areas where they got a lot thicker walls, is we actually have started producing some posts. Well, not you guys, sorry, Flowstop has them, not yet, to help work with their product to help seal up openings for which the Flowstop isn't necessarily going to fit right inside. Okay, so we have ways with this product. If you add the stops or the posts and some other things that allow for this product to use in multiple applications, okay? And the way that it works, basically, is we put them in, test them, make sure everything works, and then we're good to go. Is there anything else, Alex, that you're thinking of that I'm missing? Come on, dude, this is the first time I've done this. Seriously?
The straps.
Yeah. Okay. So if you, the perfect example is we're running into now is you got your double door, your double garage door, right? Well, an 8-inch double garage door. If you've seen our big flow stop back there, that's a single garage door, right? So an 8-inch double, 16 foot, 39 and a half, 40 inches tall, 8 inches thick. It weighs a little bit. Okay, it's not quite as light as this. So where this would come into play is when you're trying to divide up that section to make it easier to handle, right? Or if you run into a situation where you've had a couple of situations where they don't have rolls to push, right? They got a situation where they want to, we've got like a 90-degree turn on a lanai, right? Or something crazy like that where you've got the doors come into the situation where there's nothing there. So we put this thing in the ground or right next to it, bolt it in, and it's removable. So some of them are, some of them aren't. Just depends on what you like. But that basically is filling the gap in places for which it simplifies, actually, is what we're having. Some of the people I met with today and some of the other jobs I looked at, it simplifies the way of putting in this product in a position that normally wouldn't be able to be used, right? But we're going to do it because it's easy. It normally bolts down. You have it bolts down in this. Absolutely. These are all. So if it's permanent, then it's all caulked, sealed, painted, done up, make it look like your house kind of disappear kind of thing. And this isn't what they look like. This is just for display purposes. I'm not going to put flow stop on your house. It's like, but the other thing is that the other ones that are removable, they basically done with gaskets. So instead of caulking and sealing, on the backside there'll be a gasket that goes around the perimeter, and when it bolts to the house or it bolts down, the gasket is what seals it to make sure that it doesn't get behind this. Because of course the seal is happening here, typically here or here, and sometimes back here. We don't want anything getting behind it. So rubber washers on the bolts, different things that go in to secure it that make sure that it doesn't actually get water in it, around it, behind it, and basically make a failure out of that, having to use its bolts, right? Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
What do you do for sliders that are flush on one side and
So
on
that's
the other?
So
That's
is it
what you
flush,
do?
or is there a section of wall that sticks out? Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's where we get.
And it's just slightly angled, so
Yeah.
there's nothing to.
So it's easier to put the post. So the post space can come in removable or permanent, your choice, right? Set the post in place, bolt it to the wall, make sure it's sealed up, and then between the dimension between where the wall angle is, right?
So you'd have to put it on the outside of both sides.
Yes.
Yes.
Typically,
Yes.
unless you have a wall somewhere. I mean, we run into situations where we have like 2 feet before a wall. Well, instead of putting the post in, let's just run 2 more
Run it
feet
to
this
the
time,
wall.
right? And then
Yep,
push it to a wall.
makes sense.
Right. And it's
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, because he had said something about putting it in the inside of the house.
Sometimes. If you don't have, Alex, you want to, I mean, I've run into a couple where we do that, but yeah, it did. There's a situation we were talking about earlier where there was what was on the outside? It was like another screen door. Yeah. And then they had rough stone or something out. Was there a stone or something on this veneer or something out there? Some kind of where it didn't make sense to put a post. There was really not a place. There wasn't enough structure. There wasn't enough structure to put a post in place.
So if you were to do, I'm sorry, go ahead.
You're fine. So the jam was deep enough. I just put the post. I put the stop on the inside.
If you were to do that on a double garage that was 16 feet wide, it would both to the bottom and the top. Surely the breaking point of this is the strength of the garage.
No, it doesn't touch the retro. It's between. So if you see how Richard's is, this is Richard. And he's showing off for. So his garage, where he actually had 18 inches of water on the outside of that close stop and 0 on the inside. He has a video of it on YouTube or wherever it was on YouTube. But he actually, that's his personal house. And so he had that thing in place. There's the straps, depending on the length of it, on how many straps, right, we can put in. And so there's straps, and the straps basically, when they tie down, there's an anchor that is typically a bolt that you've all, I don't know if it's still in my pocket, here it is. So you've all seen the hurricane screw, right? So this is what goes in the hole of the anchor when you're not using it. But when it's being used, you put an eye bolt in it, and then you strap the top here. So you fill the top one, right? Is that right? Fill the top one, right? So it's stretched straight. And then you hook the straps in, and then you flow up the bottom one. And the straps basically restrict it from coming any higher, right? To tie it down.
Right. Well, you get the pressure, let's say.
Lateral pressure.
Yeah. The lateral pressure, it's got to be the strength of the garage to what's holding that.
These things, you guys have tested this stuff. This is where you should be up here. You know that?
All the tests were done without any back support.
Yeah, Alex, he talks about. So they do a lot of tests like free, like it's in the middle of nowhere, and they just hit it with something. What do you do? With the water air, it's just maybe it's the wall post. What do you guys do in that 15?
It's a big basin,
Yeah, big base.
but every test we do has no back support. There's no door, no garage door, and they hold without any back support.
So the straps. That's why the straps are on both. Kind of on both sides.
PSI pressure, right?
The
The
15 is the PSI that we blow it up to.
Against the structure, which is why you can't do
To
it
the side.
on wood.
Yeah, to the
It needs
side.
be concrete block.
Right.
So that pressure is is what's going
I'm gonna make a caveat, and don't beat me up about this. Down here, 90, and just let me correct me if I'm wrong, but most windows and doors are framed in block walls, have a piece of 2x4, 2x6. That is not what we're talking about. Okay? A wood structure isn't the structure is wood. If you got a piece of wood against a piece of concrete, you go push on it, it's not going anywhere. Right? That's what when we talk about. I just want to make sure for clarification purposes, everybody knows most window bucks have a 2x around it or something, right? We want to make sure that everybody understands. It's not that it won't push wood. We don't want a wood frame structure because that's where we get into trouble, right? Because it can't handle the pressure that we can give. So, yeah, as far as the idea of strapping it front and back on either side, that adds the lateral structure that it needs. Now, what's crazy is, you want to talk about the big one yet, or you're not ready to talk about the big one? The 15? You told me you tested at 15. But I know our most popular was 6 and 8. The lateral pressure on an 8 is pretty crazy. If you've never, so that one back there, if you saw the big one back there, that's an 8. I could probably, I'm not going to do it, but I could sit it up here on top of the chairs and put 3 or 4 people on it and ain't going to bend. That's how strong they are. Their lateral pressure is crazy. Okay? But then you add in the straps, and that's a whole nother level that seems to the fact that it doesn't need anything front or back to make it handle the water lateral pressure. Now, if a wave, I don't know about wave. You've ever tested a wave slamming against it? Yeah, all kinds of fun stuff. So he's the fun. He gets the fun stuff. What else?
Sort of like Goldilocks. I mean, how do you make sure that you have enough air in, or you got over too much air?
Okay.
How would you know?
Okay, this is what's fun.
No, but it's just right.
You get this thing? Everybody
Oh, it comes with that.
needs one.
Okay.
You get
It
this.
does come with that.
Yeah, this is an ad that you want it. I'll put it that way.
Oh, an add-on.
It's an add-on.
Oh,
But you gotta buy it.
okay.
We'll give you the manual, and that's just to keep you in shape. But this one, this will help you.
Yeah, it's all with the man, but how do you make sure it's just right? So
Yeah, this one, right, the readout's right there. It's all digital, 15 pounds. You can actually set this. Remember, Mac, you can set these, like a lot of them you can. You can set them to max. They stop at 15. You literally can feel it, turn it on, right? Tell me, Alex, this has a limiter on it.
You just set it up for how much you want. You
Okay,
said 15.
yeah, you can dial it up to 15, which is what they're supposed to be at. You can go make coffee, make breakfast, whatever, come back when it's done. It will shut itself off. So it won't overinflate, it won't underinflate, as long as you get the setting correct.
But that's an add-on.
This isn't that.
Oh, okay.
What is it? How much is this thing? 150 bucks?
140.
140 bucks? Okay. It's worth it from. Okay, so the straps, so what happens with the straps? The straps actually, there's an anchor per strap. So a strap straps we call singular, the tie downs are plural. So it's 2 tie downs per strap, 2 anchors per strap. So the anchor, right, on the one inside, one outside. So one strap does the way it works. The outside will have an anchor in the ground, inside of an anchor in the ground, the concrete or something that would actually hold it. And then the strap hooks to those at the time you fill this top. Because the top one sets it straight, right? And you just don't want it to move. So before you would start filling the bottom one, you want your strap set tight to the top. The anchors are. And that's what that little screw I showed you earlier. If you put that in the hole, that keeps it from filling up with anything. You just take that out and put the eye hook in at the time you need it. We don't want you driving it along. You got favors? Get my number in and come look. Because it's one of those things where those are, it depends
Quite
on
a few
how
of
you
us
get.
have papers, so.
Well, a lot of people do.
Yeah.
And so, Alex hasn't seen it yet. I got something. I get to surprise him all the time. That's my fabrication of what I do. But the idea is the pavers typically what we would normally do is pull a paver, right, a row of pavers, if we got to have an anchor. And we pull them up, get to where we have a stable, bring the concrete up to a stable level, and then set the paver back down. Because the concept is you don't want the water coming under the paver, on the back side of the gasket. So as long as this gasket, right? As long as that gasket is sealed, inside, outside, I don't care. Whatever's in front of it, outside, inside, whatever, as long as what I want to protect is on this side of it, anything on that side of it, I just want to make sure that seal's occurred, right? So as long as the seal is sealed, I'm fine. If the anchor, typically the anchors are 1 inch beyond, right? So if it's an 8, we have 10 inches, so anchors are, I'm working on that. But the idea is to have an anchor and it goes in the ground and it hangs on, and so that's how you use it. You put the flush one in when you're not using it, pull it out, put the eye hook in, and then that's what you hook on to the strap when you get ready to pull it out. Okay, but the key is the order is fill the top one, strap it, and then fill the bottom. Yeah. That's interesting. We haven't had that happen. Stealing them.
They're custom sized, so
Yeah.
the door is, the frame may not be exactly 36.
See, I guess, does this keep it? Every one of these has these codes on them, so can they really remove the code? I guess can they get rid of the code, or I mean that's built into the way they're fabricated. So if you find the person that has your code, you can get it. Everyone has their own code. Yeah. So when you get an order, it all has your own code. It actually tells you on your order it would match up with where it goes to. So everybody knows. So whoever comes to the house would actually be able to identify it. We'll work on it. That's an interesting concept I hadn't thought about, but sorry.
Do you
I
need
like
a,
big people.
do you need straps for every single float or just the long ones?
The long ones.
Okay,
what is it? Over 6 feet?
78, yeah.
78 and 8 inch or 6 inch, or does it matter?
78.
Just over 78, doesn't matter. Over 78 inches, typically the straps occur,
Okay, that's
I think, like on a typical double garage where we have 4 straps. Which would be not necessarily. Now a double door would still be under that, right? The 72, right? It's typical double door. So okay. Which has got some crazy.
Every one of these are custom fabric.
Okay. Yeah. For now. Yeah.
Here's your link to it.
What's the actual? We have 9 weeks still. Okay. 9 weeks until we pick up production, which is going to happen soon.
Amazon.
I'm sorry, 9 weeks so you pick up production or
No, we're already picking up production. Sorry. He's not going to let me say anything outside 9 weeks because we're just trying to figure out how they're going to do it. He's funny. I'm going to turn him red.
Pretty puncture resistant, or
We can see that on the TV.
Sorry.
Right there. That is 36 miles per hour, 5 pounds.
36 mile an hour, 5 pound weight or whatever that was dropping on it. Gives you an idea. Now at 150 miles an hour, no. Okay, I don't think slow it down enough, right? I guess that's how you can look at it, but.
No, but you still bounce off, and a lot of other material will get a deformation, and so a lot of those impact will bounce off and not change the integrity of the seal.
Yeah, the seal's crazy. These things are, the way they're built, that's sort of fascinating. But yeah, you can throw a lot of stuff at that thing. Now, sharp objects, things like that, are a little different part. But for most part, I think I would be safe to say that if I wasn't at 50 feet above sea level, I would have these on my house. I just enjoy the idea. You can repair them.
Yeah.
Like a
It's
paddle
like
board.
an inflatable boat.
Yeah. So yes, they can be repaired. If something happens out of the blue, the crane did decide to start poking. What was the warranty? 5? Warranty?
5.
5 years.
Okay. Oops, sorry to interrupt
Go
you.
ahead. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so
Yeah,
much.
sure.
But we're gonna. Anyways, he'll still be here to answer questions in the back for a little while, I'm sure. And we're gonna be bringing Christian up with Hydro Barrier next. So while you're taking down and Christian is setting up, it's gonna be last call for the food truck outside for any of you who are interested. And then I think when Christian's done, we have another company here as well that's gonna talk, and we'll just keep going instead of taking a break in between. We're gonna keep going. So if you want food, go out and get it because they're going to be closing up pretty soon. It's last call for the food truck. And Christian is setting his stuff up. That was quick. All right.
Good work.
Is that one?
Hello?
Okay, yeah.
All right.
Stupid that when you put the
Let's start with my light set.
slack.
All right, I know it's late. I'm Christian. I'm from Watershed Innovations. We make the Hydro Barrier.
Since it's been such a short day for everyone, I'm just going to do a quick discussion of what our company does and drop the barrier. So, Hydra, we make reusable sandbag alternative barriers. So instead of using sandbags, we make barriers that come in a nice little light package, like that. And then you fill them, not with air, because it would just float away. But you fill them with water, and then where you would place sandbags, you would place these barriers, and it would help you stop water. Now these barriers come in different heights. In other words, they come in heights from 4 inches, 6 inches, a foot, and 20 inches, and soon a taller one. And they come in different lengths. This one's 6 feet tall, so for everybody watching, you can see that I'm not that short. And then we do 6, 12, 24 feet long, and we also, in the taller sizes, the 12 and 20 inches, we have ones that go up 35, 50, and 100 feet long. So everybody seems really riveted right now. We also make we also make other products. We make tarps that go along with the barriers, and we make pumps as well. It's getting a little long in the day. Does anybody have any questions about what our product does or how it works?
So basically, it's filled with water and put into the bottom of the door?
Right. So you could put these barriers, I wish I would have brought a big picture, but you could put them in front of like a garage door, a home door, any kind of door, basically using water to deploy a barrier faster than you would with sandbags. So with sandbags, you got to buy the sandbag, fill the sandbag, transport the sandbag, transport it from your car to your door. Then when you're done, take it back to wherever, probably throw it in the yard. Whereas these you can buy and reuse them over and over again. So if you're looking at it as a one-use item, it's probably not a very good solution. But if you look at it as an item that you can use for multiple storms and multiple seasons, it's a much better for that. A few common questions we get: can you stack them? Yes, but we don't recommend it because it's not really a good solution. What's better is to buy taller barriers than the water you think you're going to get, because what happens when you try to stack them, you're going to they basically turn into giant spaghetti, and you become very frustrated and call me angry. So we thought people have much better success by buying them taller.
And how tall do they come?
So how tall do they come? Right now, the tallest we sell is 20 inches tall, and we are working on one that's a 30-inch tall one, but that one's a huge barrier. So as you go up, I know a lot of these guys who talk about these engineered solutions. What they didn't mention is as water gets taller, it gets much more pressure. So when you're in a pool, if you just dip your head in the water, it doesn't really hurt your ears, but you just go down a few feet, your ears get really like they're going to pop, right? So water is 0.42 pounds per foot. So for every foot of water you have 0.42 pounds of pressure, So these guys who make these engineered solutions, that's why they're so big. It's when you do a little bit of water, it's not so bad, but when you do a lot of water, you have to have more structure to push back against the water. So, that answer your question?
Yeah.
But it's getting late, and if you guys have any questions, we're local to Hudson. We've been around since 2008. Our website is www.hydrabarrier.com. We're a locally owned company, so we're like you. We live locally. If you can actually come by if you set up a time. Since it's an industrial park, it's not exactly Disneyland. But yeah, we're around and we're local if you ever need anything. All right.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Christian. Yes, so you said you're up in Hudson. That's great.
Yeah.
And so they could come and pick it up from you, or?
Yeah, so we ship for free, but if you're local, sometimes the storm comes and you want to get it sooner than later, you can come pick it up from us directly. You just got to make sure you tell us that we want to make sure you're safe when you get there. It's an industrial park, so there's roaming chickens and other people.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you very much for coming and talking with us again. So we do have up next is Dave the Pool Caddy, and because after the flood happened, him and his company were so generous. They came up here in the parking lot here, and they were giving away free shock to all of their customers for the pools, which was amazing. So we're so thankful for that. And they also were handing out food for days up here with us as well. So, and that was all free. So anyways, he's very well known in the neighborhood. And so we had him come because if there's any preparedness we can do for pools, that would help, right? And we're going to just keep on going too. So again, last call for the food truck, and then we're just going to have Dave go ahead and talk. Are you ready? Yeah. You are? Okay, thank you.
How's everybody doing tonight? Thanks for having me here. I'm here to talk about protecting your pool for the next upcoming storm. Obviously, we hope it doesn't happen again, and we never know how big the storm's going to be or if it's really ever going to flood again. The most common precautions for the next storm would obviously be to get everything moved away from your pool, as far as like lawn chairs and anything that could spill into the pool, damage the pool, cause anything to kind of mess that up. We also recommend that you lower the pool water inside your pool. We recommend about a little bit below the skimmer. So that way, depending on how much water we get, you do have a little bit of wiggle room. If it's just a case where maybe it's just coming up over the grass onto the pool deck, with the pool being lowered, that might give you some safe haven for the water not going inside the house and damaging anything inside the house. Obviously, I'm sure everybody's main focus is going to be on your home and protecting that, but obviously the pool is also a big investment to a lot of people, and a lot of people enjoy the pools. So first thing, obviously, move everything away from the pool before the next storm. No matter if it's going to be a flood, windstorm, huge rain, we never really know what we're going to get. And one day it's going to be awful, the next day it's missing us. So get everything away from the pool, lower the water about a little bit underneath the skimmer. You can either pump it out. Some pools have an exhaust hose where you can pump the water out to drain it, or you can go to like Harbor Freight and get a sump pump. Slowly pump that water out, and obviously keep an eye on it. You don't want to go too much water, like I said, a little bit below the skimmer. Anything more than that, you do risk the pool to pop. You don't want to empty it. That's a bad idea. We've seen it happen, not really in Gulf Harbors, but more further south, where it's a lot more sand, like clear water, that happens all the time. And it also depends on the type of pool you have. Fiberglass pools, definitely, don't really ever drain those pools. You want to cycle the water, if there's a storm and water gets intruded through the pool. Also, too, turn off the pool equipment. The storm surges with, the flickering of the power, that will destroy your pumps, your pool heaters. Everybody thinks pumps are, very cheap. They're not. I mean, with the new code on variable speed pumps, you're looking at it $1,000 to $3,000 for pool pumps. Not to mention the pool heaters. It's pretty much like a second air conditioner. So turn the power off to that. That way that protects it from any surges that might happen. Also, too, you also want to shock the pool, just because during any storm, you're obviously going to get a lot of rain, which can, a lot of rain, a little bit of water, intrusion of seawater, they can turn that pool quick. So you want to keep that pool shocked, because you don't know during a storm how long we might lose power for. Sometimes it could be 5 minutes, it could be 3 hours, it could be 24 hours. So that's also going to help protect you to keep the pool clean, getting it cleaned up faster, and also not causing any damage or staining to your pool equipment. What a lot of people do, we see this all the time, I think it's something like the old myth people do, they throw all their lawn equipment, furniture into the pool. It's an awful idea, because what it is that pool equipment has metal. Once it sits in there, it's going to put rust stains on the surface of your pool. It's also going to introduce metals to the water. Pool finishes are very expensive, so the best thing to do is The best thing to do is obviously not throw those into your pool. I would recommend kind of getting it as close to the house as you can and pretty much tying it down. That way it doesn't blow into the pool. Some things that we've been doing right now to pretty much protect the pool equipment that we've replaced during the last storm. So, you know, this is a typical brand new pool pump. What we're doing whenever we install a new pump is we put on a 6 to an 8 foot electrical whip. So you can see how far you can extend that pump. So what you can do, you know, if you're a homeowner, you pretty much have a pool pump, you just replaced it, you can loosen up this front collar on the front of the pool pump, disconnect the plumbing on it, the back one, and pull that pump completely right out. You don't have to just, disconnect the electrical. You can find something to move it up higher. You know, a lot of people are building up their pool equipment. It's definitely, obviously, a great idea. This was the most cost-effective thing that we could do for customers because to protect them for the next storm. You know, obviously, we do have a lot of customers that raise their pool equipment, but it all depends. Like, you could raise the pool equipment 2 feet, you could raise it 3 feet. You never know how high the water's going to go. Definitely for pool heaters, it's a very good idea to raise those up just because of how expensive they are. I think this is the best option as far as, you know, having those unions on there to disconnect those pumps, take it completely, you know, up to higher grounds with maybe, you know, a ladder or something, you know, that you can find around the house to prop it on. Even if you put it on top of the pool heater, you know, it's gonna get it out of there. I plan on, in the next couple days, the Gulf Harbor Strong site to also show you guys some ideas if anybody's interested on raising their pool pumps or pool heaters. There's multiple different ways to do it. I think the most effective way is with the pavers, and it obviously looks the best. You can also do it with like the hurricane pad, a couple cinder blocks, and another hurricane pad. That's obviously the cheapest route. I just don't think it looks the best, especially for houses in Gulf Harbors. There's also like custom-made brackets that people are having built up, like through stainless steel. So that way, you know, you obviously sit that heater up, and you know they're going about, I would say, about 3 feet off the ground to get those things high and dry. So to hopefully, you know, if there is a, you know, a minor flood or say a flood or something like that, God bless, hopefully not again, but that is going to protect that, you know. So I'll post that on the website sometimes this week. And if anybody wants to reach out, please let me know. We can definitely point you in the right direction. The pavers, obviously, there's a bunch of local companies in the neighborhood that can help you out. If you wanted us to remove your pool heater, you know, because right now the water's hot. So remove the pool heater, get a paver company in, build that up. That way, you know, you feel a lot more protected for the next storm. So that's pretty much all I got right now. You know, if anybody has any questions, if anybody needs anything looked at before the next storm, definitely reach out to us. I am a Gulf Harbors resident, so I drive around. You probably see all the blue pool guiding trucks in the neighborhood all day long. So, you know, if you want us to come take a quick peek at it, we'll definitely help you out with that. If we do get another flood and say that you didn't move your pool pump, something got wet, definitely give us a call or hire a licensed electrician to look at any equipment that got wet before you start it up, because I have seen those units light on fire.
I have a question. So after we flooded,
Yeah.
our entire pool was black.
Yeah.
What is the first thing that you do?
The first thing that we were doing is, well, we could obviously get to every customer, but the first thing to do is obviously get some pool shock in there so it doesn't start becoming like a bacteria ground. You know, once you get tied with obviously dealing with your house, because that's going to be your first priority, I would think 99% of the time. You know, get everything out of the house, you know, obviously cut the drywall out. And then the second thing would be to pump that pool down, get all that water out of there.
Okay.
Power wash the pool, acid wash it as needed, and then immediately start filling it back up. You don't want to pump the pool out and then, say, hey, we got a lot going on in the house, we're going to wait 3 months before you put water back in it, because that's a bad idea. It could pop if it's sitting that long. That's why when we were draining pools, we were draining them fast. We were draining a pool within an hour to 2 hours and filling it immediately right after we were done. And also it's not good on the interior. The interior will obviously start drying out and cracking, so. But like I said, if we do get another flood, something hasn't been, moved out of the way, you can definitely tell that it got wet. Just have somebody look at it, like a licensed electrician or us, to kind of give you an idea before you start that up. Because God forbid, you don't want to cause more damage after something like that happens. So. Like I said, if anybody has any questions, feel free to give me a call. I'm always in the neighborhood, and we'd love to help you guys out.
Okay, thank you so much. And again, thank you for everything that you and your family and your workers did right after the flood. We appreciate that you came up here all those hot days and took care of us. Okay, so we're going to keep on moving forward, and we have John from Davy Shoring. It's a home elevation company. He's going to be coming up to speak next. And just so y'all know that there's a storm coming in right now, it looks like. So any of the vendors that want to pack their stuff up now, and then just leave your contact information. This is all going on Facebook again, on a couple different sites. And as I said before, the day after we did this, it was 1,000 hits the next day. A couple days after we did this, there was 3,000 hits. So I mean, even though there's not a lot of people present here in the building right now, they are watching. So thank you very much. And you're going to break, Jen?
No, Metallica was on Friday.
Hey, this is Johnny from Davy Shoring. We're home elevation experts. We looked at a house over on 4th. I'll really just open it up for some questions. A little bit about Davy Shoring. They're licensed and insured in Florida. They've done several hundred homes here. They've done thousands in Louisiana. I can answer questions on how we do it, what we do, but there's a couple in the neighborhood with more contracts coming in on 4 markets and other places.
Did you do the home run portion to watch?
It is interesting to watch. And
it was,
yeah. And, the timing on getting that done, it's about, when you put it as a deposit, it's about 3 weeks of engineering, 3 to 4 weeks of engineering and permitting. It goes through Pasco County. The engineers draw out land and do all the calculations. So the homeowner really doesn't have to do that.
So can you share with us a ballpark of what it costs for that home to be elevated?
I can't remember the exact square footage, but it's basically use 100, 120 or so 1,000 square foot home would be about $110,000. So, and then that gets you elevated, permitted, and prison up on the columns.
So nothing in the inside of that home, no structural integrity, everything was exactly as it was raised up.
Yeah, water heater, air conditioner, electric goes up there. I mean, if you think about it, the only thing connecting that is one sewer line or one water line, and if your electric's on a pole, it goes up with the house. So there isn't really that much to reconnect it. And then underneath it, you would like to make a 2-car garage, 4-car garage, 6-car. You bring in concrete after we're done. You would bring in concrete, somebody, and we can actually arrange that to a general contractor too as well. And then build your decks if you want, composite decks, wooden decks, and your staircases down. Depending on if you're close to the water line, sometimes you have to put a spiral staircase. In most of the places, there's room to do flat.
My husband looked at it and said, well, how are they going to get their car in the garage? I was like, really?
Yeah, interesting enough, most guys go, that's the new beer cave, man cave, the ladies like the sewing room, and the mother-in-law suite. So.
Big master bedroom.
Yeah, big master bedroom, yeah. And so that adds to the square footage. Walk-in closet, yeah. There's a lot of clothes.
Question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you ever worry about cracks in the foundation or cracks in the walls in between the cement blocks? And what do you do in those cases?
So, well, not to get too technical on it, but it's a lift. So the whole thing is going up at one time. So each under the footing in the middle too, the internal structure there is jacks, and all of them are preloaded. So they push piers down on the ground, and there's 30 to 50 jacks under the house, and then when they're all hooked up to the hydraulics, you pull one like big Frankenstein lever, and it all goes up. So we take a digital altimeter, which is fancy word for a lever, and we can walk through the whole property and say this is a quarter of an inch now, this is a half an inch up, we go 8 inches, and we can check that again. Go out 8 inches and check it again. So it keeps the foundation from being flat, so at least we can check it. But because they're all going up together, it just goes up smoothly.
So what's the probability of having like cracked walls or anything like that? Pretty much slim to none?
Yeah, the whole slab just goes up.
Okay.
And if there's, I've repaired a whole bunch of properties that had foundation issues down here. It's kind of how guys made. And we'll use beams, support beams, whatever, or they do. There's different techniques for keeping those cracked parts connected to the house, so the whole thing goes lifting porches. There's special jacks that lift the porches up in the air. We're one of the few companies that does multi-story buildings. A lot of companies can only do 1 story.
So are you generally taking the whole house up, say 5 feet, 10 feet, 14 feet?
For Pasco County to get above FEMA is 11 plus 1. So you take the flood certificate and you want to be up 11 feet. Some of these houses are only up 4 or 5 feet out here. So, it's about the BFE, which is base flood elevation. So you want to be 11 feet. Well, if you only have to put your house up 6 feet, now you have a nice crawl space, put your lawnmower in there and your bikes. But if you go 11 feet, you can put 6 cars under there, turn the rest of it into, whatever's down there is not insurable, of course, but people put little storage places down there.
My next door neighbor, several months ago, thought that there was a program in Florida.
Couldn't hear one.
I'm sorry.
Here.
My next door neighbor, soon after the flood, said there's a program in Florida made for FEMA.
Yeah.
It's grants, other things to help do that.
There's
So I told her I thought there were ways it's going to happen, but she's trying.
There were several, I think there's 6 different programs that I looked into, elevating Florida. And some of them were funded, and the money ran out quickly. So now they're waiting for some of those programs to be refunded. And I would say, if you check next month, there'll be something else going on. So, so there's several programs, and we work with, we became a preferred vendor, or not preferred vendor, but a vendor for Elevating Florida. So we've registered with that. So any program that comes out that we can help, or somebody will get funding, we're going to be on this program. So.
Do you know the names of some of the other programs, or just a Google search will pop up?
If you go to our website, is homeelevationexperts.com, and there's a lot of information on there. There's a lot of testimonials, and you can see houses from Sanibel, Fort Myers, down the Keys, all the way out to Yankeetown and Crystal River. So we're lifting houses up and down the coast. We have 9 crews going right now, and I have a whole lot of people working for us. Small army, really, helping. They've been doing lifting. As has 30 years of experience, so. But I think you'll find some information on that.
All right, so here's another question. So if you're saying 1,000 square foot house is going to cost you 120,000, it's safe to say that a 2,000 square foot house is going to cost you 240,000.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, and then once the house is lifted, the owner will be responsible for anything that has to be done underneath.
Right, if you want to have concrete, down, down there, underneath your car or something. There'll be a footer there, would be.
Get stairs?
You actually have to, well, you actually, whatever stairs you want, you want composite stairs, you want concrete, yeah, so, it's plus, yes. And so, and some people say, my uncle's a contractor, he's gonna do it. Some people say, can you recommend how much you see, we poured it for 30 years, and there's different guys that, and then there's really not a lot to connect. Like I say, the electric, unless it's coming from the ground, you have an electrician do it anyway, but if they lift it, there's really nothing. The wire's there, it's lifted, there's actually more slack. Plumbing is one cold water line coming in. Now you take a 30, 40-year-old house, you lift it up. This might be a good time to get rid of that cast iron and just down on it, run some PVC. It's 11 feet up in the air. Drill a hole and run all brand new plumbing underneath it. Hot, cold water, say I'm going to bypass anything that's in the slab. It's a good way to update your home. It's a lot less money to do. A lot of stuff in the air. You can run underneath. So, yeah, there's a lot of great pictures of different houses that have been done. Some people have great imagination, like there's houses in Sanibel and Captiva where they've had contractors come in and paint the beams and paint everything white. They put nice shutters down there, and it makes it really look nice out on the water. So, there's some amazing what people do before and after. They tell a pretty good story. Any other questions?
I do. So the programs that you said that are available, are you finding luck with that? Is there a long wait for that? Is there stipulations? And if they're not going to use one of those programs, are people getting do you offer financial stuff, or is there people doing mortgages on their house, getting double mortgage, or what's happening?
Savings, obviously, the lease, and then a home equity line, you next, and then in my company, I've done work all over, the docks over the deals, and I personally have $250,000 for anything that I do after the fact. Davey, I'm sure we can, there's financing even for that. And there's SBA loans, there's a bunch of, the homeowners tell me more than, because they're looking for every day. I'm looking at the houses and lifting them, so, the homeowners are really the ones that are educating me on the programs because they're researching every day.
Also, it might have been a question for Jeff Starkey, and I'm not sure if he addressed it, but do you know, is it true that insurance is cheaper for a 2-level house? Because I think that was a myth. Does anybody know the answer to that question?
Oh, once it's raised.
It changed.
It's not that much cheaper anymore.
It's
Which is wrong.
okay.
It used to be way cheaper, but it does, yeah.
Now, more than your elevation
Yeah.
is wrong.
Okay.
It's true.
I was reading on their website that after we live with we work with the counties and stuff. So you take your elevation, your new elevations and all that, and it goes back. I think it is less money because you're not insuring anything on the bottom. So.
But now you have a wind mitigation to deal with because you're not as low as you are. So, I mean, that's what the insurance company, they have their little checklist. They assign values to everything. So he's down, he's bad, he's high, he's bad.
Insurance.
Never is.
Did you mention how long it takes from the start project to be turned over?
Basically, we give you a bid and you put the deposit down. It's about 3 to 4 week password. Actually, pretty quick. Sometimes it's slower. 3 to 4 weeks for engineering, and we get a new elevation certificate. Even Gulf Harbor's things have changed. A new survey for setbacks, whatever. Then we put the engineering together, and then that goes to Pasco County. 3 to 4 weeks, so 2 months between putting the deposit down and you're approved for the permit. And then they have a lot of crews going, so I don't know what the, I told you exactly how many days it would be.
About how long would I need to be running?
Yeah, so it would be, you go on the schedule, and then when the guys show up, it's a lot of just hard work. They dig underneath, they go around the whole footer, they dig underneath both ways, so it's really just, and there's no machine that just goes and grabs that dirt. It's a bunch of guys crawling around and bringing that stuff up, 5-gallon buckets and a shovel, and going all the way into like gophers. And then each piling gets set, and then it gets, hydraulics start to lift, and they're all set so that when they pull that one lever, it all comes up as a uni lift. And then they, they pour the rebar, they put all your footer in, so and then it goes up. It's cribbed as it goes up every 9 days. It takes 2 months to get it to the day you pull the lever, and then it goes up 8 inches, they crib it, 8 inches, crib it. So one day it probably goes up almost the whole amount, but it takes 2 months to get ready for that day that you lift it. So it would be, I would say, 4 months, with engineering. Any other questions? Yes.
So now your utilities are off at that time, so you can't really use it other than what you guys need.
Yeah. You're not. Well,
you gotta disconnect your stuff underneath. Do you bother tunneling to any of the pipes, or just pull it up as it is?
All your plumbing and your electric, your air conditioning, everything goes up in the air.
Okay, so you're gonna cut them off at the house.
Yeah, you're gonna have one hot water line or a cold water line that feeds, and that's gonna be 10 feet, 11 feet. And you're gonna have a sewer line come down 11 feet, and you're connected again. So it's not.
But they're shut off at the beginning. So
they're shut off, and then you get a new CO. So you get a certificate of occupancy. It's just like a new house when it goes up there. So. Good questions. It's amazing the first time you look at that. You look at that, you're like, I can't believe they took the concrete and all and lifted that thing 11 feet in the air.
It was cool to watch it happen.
It's really cool to watch it.
Okay, so really, in that scenario, out of the house found is about 2 months. I mean, you don't have to be out there.
You don't have to be out, right? You don't have to be out until they get in, disconnect the utilities or electric, really. So, the people that I chatted with, they're like, well, we had 2 options. We could have lifted the house, and it was going to be, a fair amount of money to lift it. But they like tearing it down and building it was 9 months to a year and a half. I mean, before you got a new house built, and so you're moving in 2027. So you have to rent a house for 2 years while you're waiting. And so, there's a lot of cost difference there that you're saving, and then, like I say, it's reduced. I'm pretty sure you're going to get reduced rate. You do it after it's lifted. It's a post. I was just reading on the site. If insurance would go down once you're up. It makes sense. They're not insuring anything.
Why couldn't you dig a hole to plant an orange tree? Because it hit coral, and how are you making out here?
Well, there is different stuff down the rock, but we I mean, that house of Corpus, you can drive by and look at it. So it is tougher, but it's some places it's just sugar sand. There's parts of Crystal River, down on Sanibel Island, Captiva, so Matlacha. So the different houses, they're all running into different things.
But out here, Gulf Harbors is manufactured canals.
They're acoustic. I must say nobody complained, but they got it. It's hard. It's just hard work, but it's what has to be done. And there's little machines that we have. They're like boxer behind you. They can remove the new Bobcats, the T100s. And so those will help. But really, the guys dig that stuff out and bring it to the side and get that out. There's no machine that drives under it comes out the other side. Yes.
You may have already said this. I had to step out to catch a call. But what is the average cost of raising something like a 2 to 3 bedroom unit?
Well, if you know the square footage, multiply it by about 120 that per square foot, that's going to give you a really good close number to where you're gonna be to lift it up.
Square feet times $120. Okay.
Yeah. And that's permitting, engineering, get, lift it up, levy feet, or, whatever. And then, on your columns, basically ready for, at that point, you put stairs down, and up the electric and sewer line back up in your hot water. Your cold water line, and you get your CO and move back.
I'm sorry, I just have to interrupt for one thing. There's a gray Ford Explorer Edge blocking the food truck from getting out. If it's somebody's, can you move it? Sorry, John.
That's all right.
Is it yours? You think?
Yes, I don't think it's.
Okay. All right, thank you.
That's all right. I was looking through some of my notes, and David showing us highly experienced with the FEMA-funded elevation projects, understand grant requirements, documentation, so elevation guidelines, whatever. So the homeowners, try to take care of them. Look soup to nuts, and they have a really good. From the testimonials and stuff, a lot of people we just handed it off, and they stayed in touch. They have good customer support, which is something that's important. And, they have a good reputation, strong safety record. So I don't know. I was just looking through different things. Obviously licensed in Florida, fully insured. One of the questions was, do they help with flood insurance? Yes, by properly documenting elevation work and submitting elevation certificates, Dave Shorn helps homeowners qualify for significant flood insurance savings post-project. That was what I was remembering. And we can do slab on grade, pier and beam, and we're one of the companies that can do multi-story. So sometimes you have for example, overhang from your roof line, so your trusses are there. And it goes over your pool. Now you lift that up, 11 feet. Now you have a 20-foot overhangs, so there's special jacks that you use to pick that up and stabilize that, and then reconnect it. We'll have beams made of 4x4, 4-inch steel. So there's some technical stuff that goes on for multi-story. Yes, sir.
This may be a dumb question, but so you're raising the house?
Yes, yeah.
After you do that, what's holding it up?
It ends up on columns. And
on
so
columns. You put the columns in?
You have a thickened, yes,
okay.
The columns go in, you have a thickened edge around, when the house is poured, it has a thickened edge footer, we call it, and then there's usually ribs down the middle that are also thickened. And then sometimes we lift them up, and it was all done by code, and you have a nice thick footer. Sometimes it's thin, so we'll put I-beams underneath it to support it, and then when it's up, we'll actually weld beams under the I-beams are welded. So if you look at the top of those columns, every there's no more than 5 feet between a thickened edge and a support. And then there'll be 5 feet, so there might be a big square underneath it with one column, then there'll be 5 feet, then there'll be another column and 5 feet. And what's cool about that is you can, people have said, well, I want to get, 6 cars under here or something. So yeah. And so we have the beams down the middle on the edges, and you can actually run beams to span that concrete floor so that you can fit multiple cars under there. So there's some things that, special requests that people have asked for, and they get it done. Sometimes the slabs are only 4 inches thick. Like in Tarpon, to get a house only 4 inches thick. It was cheaper to cut out that floor from the garage and put wood in there and just rebuild it than to try to fix all that. So they look at cost savings too. So there's some things you can do.
Wow. Amazing.
Good questions. Yeah. Anybody else? All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you very much, John. Thank you for waiting as well. And thank you to all the vendors that are still left. Thank you so much for coming and being a part of this tonight. I'll keep in touch with you and let you know how many hits you're getting, because that's always exciting to watch. Thank you, Kim, my best girl, for all of your help always. You know that. And so take pictures of the things up there on the boards, and then this is all going to be on Facebook Live for a while. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie.